Hi everyone, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. My name is M.Refaat. I'll be your host for today's lesson. It's a real honor and a privilege to be with you today. Uh, we'll be talking about something that I'm sure you will find not only useful but also very applicable to our personal development and professional development plans and where we focus our efforts when it comes to personal and professional development. Uh, it's called the comfort zone matrix. But before getting into that, let me just give you a quick background about who I am and how I ended up here today with you on the Empowered Living page and being able to host this Empowered Living lesson. I'm a pharmacist by education. I'm Egyptian, and I'm speaking to you today from my home in Cairo in Egypt. I went through my career in a little bit of pharmaceutical sales and marketing in some different roles and through training and until I switched my career into full-time coaching, speaking, training, and I'm also a member of the John Maxwell team, which is how I initially was introduced to Paul and Roddy. I had the opportunity to work with them personally, directly, whether through the John Maxwell team and also in other capacities. But when I was introduced to their work and the empowered living community that they have built and are still building, one really important thing that attracted me to it was, and because this is for me how I define the idea of being empowered and living an empowered life, is understanding what's behind the lesson, kind of having the decoding or the breakdown of why things are the way they are, how things operate, internally in our minds, in our psyche, and then eventually the lessons that they lead to. That sense of understanding what's behind the scenes and what's going on inside has always been for me a core about living an empowered life and being empowered, and all Paul and Roddy's teachings follow that same pattern, and so that's what I've been doing in my work, and that's a very big part of today's lesson. uh, we talk a lot about comfort zone and stepping out of the comfort zone and personal development. uh, from my personal experience, that happened with me personally throughout my career, and also from my observations with clients and that I work with, is that there are some misconceptions to this whole idea about comfort zone and stepping out of the comfort zone that I felt, if we break it down into a sort of four quadrant matrix, that would help us see more clearly the areas where we can focus our effort and energy, then we would be much more efficient and effective with our development plans. And so that brings me to today's lesson, the comfort zone matrix. Now, I didn't get a chance to come up with a more fancy name than that, but let's just keep it simple. So an x-axis and a y-axis, and it just gives us a four quadrant matrix, currently dubbed the comfort zone matrix. Now, I know this is a bit low tech, but we work with what we have. Most important thing is to get the lesson across, and hopefully you find benefit in that. So the idea is as follows: if you take two dimensions, so the first one is the strengths and the weaknesses, how good I'm naturally at something, and usually when we're really good at something, we find it easier to do, we be more passionate about it, we have more fun doing it. But some things are natural strengths, some things not so much. And on the other hand, if you place the measurement of effort, so am I putting high effort into this, or am I putting low effort into this? That would give us eventually things that are our natural strengths, and we place a lot of energy and effort on them, and things that are natural strengths, but we don't really work so much on them. And then some things that are weaknesses, and where we put a lot of effort into it even though it's a weakness, and then things that again are a weakness but that we put much less effort on those things. So as you can see, I think you're probably catching up to the picture right now. Is When something is a natural strength and you actually focus your effort on it, that's where you would start to shine. That's the area of shining and star status. And that's where everybody wants to go there. And we'll get to that in a bit, like why don't we? And if something is a natural strength, but we're not really investing in it much time and energy and effort, I call it, this is the gliding area where it's like gliding. You're still, you're floating, you're going places, but you're not really putting much into it, and you're just carried by that natural, lift of your natural strengths. But after some time, you're going to start to lose altitude eventually. But there's not much to do there, and there's not much happening there. It's gliding. It's a comfortable, nice, smooth place. But when it comes to weaknesses, things that we're not really good at, now let me start with the low effort first. Things that we're not good at, and we're not putting any energy into them, or not much energy into them and effort into them. That's where I call it the avoiding area. So we're just avoiding it. I don't like to do it. I don't want to do it. So it's like, fine, avoiding it. And then again, it's a weakness anyway, and most probably something I don't like to do. So all's well and good. But then comes the area where something that's a weakness or a natural weakness, we're not really talented, we don't really, do that thing very well, but we place a lot of effort and energy into it. And in that case, I'd say we start to feel struggle. We're pushing. It's always against the natural, direction of things. So there's a little bit of struggle happening. Now, I highlighted here that if we stay so too much in that area, it would turn into frustration. So we shine, or we glide, or we avoid, or we struggle. Okay, so far so good. Now, as you can see from the color coding, everybody wants to put most of their effort in something they're naturally strong at, and most probably they like and passionate about, and that's where they can shine. The other area where we need to start taking focus, so how can we start applying this practically in our lives, is that if I have a natural strength in something and I'm not really investing in it much, I wouldn't be getting much benefit out of it. I would be gliding. I'd probably lose altitude after a while. And it would be, a good thing to start increasing the level of effort that's being put into it, so I can, move it, whatever that characteristic is or whatever that talent or skill is, and move it into the shining and star status area. Weaknesses is, where most of the action happens. And as I said, I personally experienced this. You see, in I'd say in corporate, in a lot of organizations, and it's generally in huge parts of our culture, is if you're not putting enough effort in something, then we have an issue, which is okay, kind of understood. So good performance means you have to be putting a lot of effort into something. As I said, so far so good. Yeah. But the problem arises with the other side of that equation, again, from our culture and on our organizations, or most of them at least, is that it's not just about putting a lot of effort in something. That sense of struggle is what indicates, good performance. If we need to see, there's this kind of, unspoken agreement that we need to see some kind of struggle, some kind of pain going on. And I'm not talking about growing pains. I'm talking about, actually, it's like, you shouldn't be having too much fun with your growth. You shouldn't be having too much fun and enjoying yourself so much, because it's as if we assume that if you're enjoying yourself too much, then you're not actually putting enough effort. So it's like high effort means struggling. We just go to that side every time. If you're not struggling, then it's low effort or medium effort. And that's where I believe this map would help us, that we have managers, we have bosses, maybe even for our personal plans, and we feel when we're putting a lot of effort in something we love and we're good at, we shine, we become stars, we're still doing the high effort, but it really doesn't feel like work. And that's where we want to live. But then maybe we feel guilty, maybe other people make us feel guilty that no, there's other parts where you're not really good and you're not working on them enough. So you go there. It's like, okay, we already know you're good at this. You already know you're good at this. You need to go there. You need to invest in that side because that side looks like work. That side is acceptable. That, you look and people can look from the outside and you can look, on the inside and say, oh my God, yeah, I'm doing a lot, man. I'm struggling here. But I put it in a yellow box because I believe that you sometimes you do need to work and put effort on areas that are weaknesses that are not natural strengths because not everybody can afford to only live in this side. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and you don't always have people to support or someone to delegate to, or a mastermind effort to collaborate and capitalize on the different strengths. Sometimes you just have to do something that you're not really good at, you don't like to do, and it's more of a natural weakness than a natural strength. But that's why I believe it's a yellow. So go there with caution. Spend time there. Spend time enough to not have any troubles from that quadrant. But don't spend too much time there because then it's going to turn into frustration and maybe even burnout. And again, as I said, that's one of those biggest problems that happen. We always direct our efforts towards our weaknesses rather than our strengths because that's where it looks like something is actually happening. Now, if you don't need to, if you don't really need to invest high effort in something you're weak at and just avoid it, which, becomes fine as long as there's no troubles from it. Low effort in general, you could say it's a comfort zone. Now, the specific definition of a comfort zone is where you do the same thing in the same way with the same people, having the same results all the time. And if that thing is a strength, you'd be kind of gliding, and if it's a weakness, you would just be avoiding it. And that's generally low effort is living in the comfort zone. When people say step out of the comfort zone, then you're going against what you know, and you're going to have to put higher energy and effort. My advice to you is when you're going out of the comfort zone and putting a lot of energy and effort into something, take a look. Are you putting it in the right quadrant where you're going to shine, or are you putting it where you're going to be struggling? And do you want to stay there for too long, or you want to get back to where you can actually reap huge rewards? So that's just a quick representation of the comfort zone matrix. I hope you find it useful, and you can start mapping where you're putting in your priorities when it comes to time, other resources, your effort, and your personal plans and your professional plans. You can use it when again mapping your yearly or half a year annual performance appraisal or semi-annual performance appraisal. Anytime you're starting to look at where am I going to invest resources in my development, professional or otherwise, you can use this as a measurement. So that's my time for today. I hope you find it useful and enjoyable. I hope we can stay in touch in other channels where you could find me. There's my website, www.themrefaat.com. So that's themrefaat.com. Also my Facebook page where most of the action happens. You would find it at the M.Refaat, so it's the same thing. You'll find new podcast episodes every 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, and you'll find also new articles. I also share those on the website and on the Facebook page. And finally, there's also on YouTube. I have a few series going on there, and that would be M.Refaat, so it's without the, it's just M.Refaat. That's on YouTube. I hope to see you whether in any one of these 3 channels. Thank you very much once again, and I hope to see you again soon, maybe even right here on the Empowered Living page. Stay strong, stay safe, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.